The fairy tale is real. Princess Leonor of Spain Lavish 2025 wedding unfolds. They said fairy tales were only for storybooks, sparkling gowns, royal vows, perfect endings. But this time, it wasn't a story. It was real. And it unfolded before the world's eyes, live, in the heart of Spain. Because on that golden spring morning in Madrid, Princess Leonor of Spain, the nation's beloved heir, stepped out not as a child of duty but as a woman in love. The fairy tale was no longer fantasy. It was history being written in real time. Spain stopped breathing. The world stopped scrolling. And as the bells of the royal palace began to ring, a new chapter for the Spanish monarchy began. The first sight of her carriage silenced the city. White horses gleamed under the sunlight, the streets lined with red and gold petals, and the air alive with the sound of hope. For years, the world had watched Leonor grow, from the shy young princess making her first speech at 13, to the poised royal woman representing Spain across Europe. But no one could have imagined how deeply personal this moment would feel. This wasn't just a royal wedding. It was Spain's emotional rebirth. Inside the royal cathedral of La Almudena, cameras captured every breathtaking detail. The scent of fresh lilies filled the air. Sunlight streamed through stained glass windows, painting her path in shimmering colors. But what stole every heart wasn't the grandeur, it was her calm, radiant smile. Her dress, a masterpiece designed by Spanish couturier Alejandro Gomez, was hand-embroidered with thousands of crystals. The neckline mirrored Queen Letitia's wedding gown, while the intricate train whispered tradition with every step. And yet, it wasn't the diamonds or lace that made the moment unforgettable, it was the simplicity of her presence. She was glowing not because of royalty, but because of love. When Leonor reached the altar, waiting for her was Alejandro, the man whose name had been whispered across Spain for months. A diplomat's son, educated in Madrid and Copenhagen, known for his humility and quiet intelligence. The man some said wasn't royal enough. And yet, when he looked at her, the entire country saw it, the connection, the authenticity, the rare emotion that broke centuries of royal protocol. This wasn't arranged. It wasn't expected. It was real. Even before the vows began, Spain was already in tears. Queen Letizia, visibly emotional, held King Philippe's hand tightly. Cameras caught her whispering, "She's ready." Because in that moment, their daughter wasn't just marrying the love of her life. She was stepping into her destiny, the woman who will one day reign as Queen of Spain. The Archbishop's voice trembled slightly as he began the ceremony. The air was thick with history. Every eye, every camera, every heart was fixed on the young couple standing before God and their country. When Leonor spoke her vows, her voice didn't quiver. It carried, clear, strong, full of warmth. "I, Leonor de Todos los Santos, take you, Alejandro, as my husband." Each word echoed through the cathedral like poetry. The world watched as Spain's future queen chose love, not obligation, as her foundation. As the Archbishop declared them husband and wife, the cathedral erupted in applause. It wasn't just celebration. It was catharsis. After years of uncertainty, political division, and a monarchy under pressure, Spain finally had something to unite around, a moment that felt pure, proud, and profoundly human. Outside, the crowds exploded into cheers. Church bells rang across Madrid. Fireworks soared into the daylight sky. For the first time in decades, Spain was weeping not from worry but from joy. As Leonor and Alejandro exited the cathedral, the scene was cinematic. Rose petals rained down, sunlight kissed her veil, and her laughter carried through the air. Reporters described it as a modern fairy tale born on Spanish soil. From balconies, people waved flags and tossed confetti. Children shouted her name. Elderly citizens whispered prayers of gratitude. Spain hadn't just witnessed a royal wedding, it had rediscovered its heart. But amid the joy, whispers lingered. Rumors had spread for months about royal advisors opposing the match. Some believed Leonor should marry within European nobility. Others feared the public reaction. And yet, her parents, King Felipe and Queen Letizia, stood by her choice. They knew their daughter's leadership would come not from titles but from truth. In the face of tradition, Leonor had chosen authenticity. And that quiet defiance made her not just a bride, but a leader. The royal procession through Madrid was unlike anything in recent memory. Thousands lined the streets, cheering as the newlyweds waved from their open carriage. Every block erupted with music, flags, and tears. It wasn't just a royal parade, it was a moving love story shared by an entire country. Cameras from BBC, TVE, and CNN broadcast the moment lived to hundreds of millions. Headlines flashed. A new era for Spain's monarchy. The fairy tale becomes real. Leonor's love story captures the world. From London to Copenhagen, from Washington to Tokyo, people spoke the same words: "This feels different." That night, the royal banquet shimmered like a dream. Gold chandeliers sparkled above the grand hall, as the couple entered hand in hand to thunderous applause. The king raised his glass. To love that unites, to courage that inspires, and to a Spain that believes in its future. Leonor's eyes filled with tears as she glanced at her father. It wasn't just a toast, it was a passing of trust. At that table sat not just European royalty and global leaders, but Spanish artists, scientists, and soldiers, a symbol of unity across generations. The cameras caught one candid moment, Leonor whispering to Alejandro, "It's bigger than us now." And she was right. As night fell over Madrid, fireworks exploded across the skyline. The palace gardens glowed with lanterns. Musicians played Spanish classics while the couple shared their first dance, a slow waltz beneath a ceiling of stars. For a brief moment, even the security guards were seen smiling. It was the kind of beauty that made people believe in something again, in love, in leadership, in hope. But what truly made this wedding unforgettable wasn't what happened in front of the cameras. It was what came after. Long after the guests had gone and the lights dimmed, Leonor and Alejandro slipped away to the royal gardens. There, beneath the same oak tree where Leonor used to play as a child, they stood hand in hand, surrounded by silence. Witnesses say she whispered, "If this is what real feels like, I never want to wake up." And in that quiet moment, no crown, no cameras, no ceremony, Spain's princess became something more powerful than a queen. She became human. The next morning, the headlines were unanimous. The fairy tale is real. A nation falls in love again. Spain's princess rewrites royal tradition. But perhaps the most powerful words came from an old Spanish woman interviewed in the crowd. Through tears, she said, "She gave us back our pride. She made us feel royal again." Days later, as Leonor appeared for her first engagement as a married royal, Spain erupted once more, not with formality but with affection. Children ran to give her flowers. Citizens waved banners reading, "Nuestra Reina del Corazón, our Queen of Hearts." And in that moment, Leonor smiled, the same radiant, genuine smile that had captured Spain since her childhood. It wasn't just the start of a new life. It was the beginning of a new monarchy. Because in the end, this wedding wasn't about opulence or crowns. It was about courage, the courage to love boldly, to rule authentically, and to remind an entire nation that even in the modern world, fairy tales can still come true. Princess Leonor of Spain didn't just live a royal story. She wrote one. And as the echoes of that wedding day still linger across Madrid, one truth remains undeniable. The fairy tale wasn't a fantasy. It was real. It happened here, in Spain, in 2025, and the world will never forget it.